Okay, universe. It is 4:30 in the morning on the East Coast, and I have been woken up out of my slumber to share this. I don't know what platform or how I'm gonna adjust it later, but it needs to be recorded. So here we go. There are so many levels to healing, right? You can't get or understand true healing in 5-second, 10-minute, 3-minute clips on any of these social media platforms. And you must understand that healing looks different and is different for all of us, right? You may only need to heal with your 5-year-old self. You may only need to heal with your 15-year-old self. Or you may have a more in-depth need to look at all stages of life, which means you may need to heal your 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 year old self. Now, when I started my healing journey and really looking at life, what it is I truly want, where I need to really be, once my children got older and it came into a now what do you want for yourself point. In my mid 30s, it was like, okay, your children are picking paths for themselves. At some point, it's just going to be you. So that was a thing that triggered my journey the most. And once I started reading all of the books, watching the tarot, getting natal chart readings, checking out my human design, understanding life processes, policies, procedures, knowing that and understanding at the end of the day we truly know nothing and we are everything as humans, is when I really got into, okay, now my process is different from a lot of other people's processes, okay? And what I decided to do was sit down and write a letter to every age of me. For some reason, this is going to help somebody. So I started with my earliest memory, which was 5. This is when my mother started doing extracurricular activities where we had to like be in something, dance class, something with church, and I joined the choir. I was just like, it was the easiest thing for me. My mother kept pointing out, you're going to have to do something. So I chose dance and choir. Okay. And so that was my earliest memory from 5. So I wrote a letter to my 5-year-old. I wrote letters to stages of myself that I could actively remember and tap into until I started. This is another till I started actually projecting and through my meditation and connecting to other ages of me. And then when I met those other ages in remembrance, I wrote a letter to that phase of me. Because what we need to understand is once we reconnect with those memories and those time frames in our lives, that is the opportunity to heal it. That is the opportunity. When the universe brings that back up to you, is an opportunity for you to heal it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to actually talk to the person, actually be in that space, at that place, or actually talk to those people. It just means that that is for you. You know, on my channel, I talk a lot about how it's your journey before it's anyone else's. All the information that comes to you, the books you read, the things you want to talk about, a lot of people are not going to understand those things and not be able to fall in line with those things because it's for you. The healing is for you. You know, I subscribe to So It Is on YouTube, and she talks a lot about this, about understanding that you have to understand you first before you aid anyone, before you try to bring anyone along, before you try to get someone else to join the journey with you, right? You must gather you together, and that means all the way together, not just you understand this is happening now and it needs to be fixed and there's things that you need to do, but you also, excuse me, must look into the things about yourself. And there's a lot of people who don't do it. I remember I used to date a guy, and when I would talk to him, he'd be like, "It's so quiet over there." And I'd be like, "Yeah, silence is peace." You know, if you can't sit with yourself in silence, like, to me, I'm not saying it's disturbing. It should be disturbing to the person that can't do it. I'm not going to tell you it's disturbing. You know, it was disturbing for me that I can't sit anywhere 5 minutes in quiet. That's like, you know, it was uneasy for me to know that I couldn't do that, which is how my meditation journey started. Because it's just like, you can't sit nowhere. Because I love music, and I have a Taurus Mercury. I love music. I love music while I'm working. And and a lot of times it's classical or jazz, something without words, just rhythmic beats is my jam. Okay. And I had to realize that though those things are great while I'm working, in moments when I'm having conversations with spirit and things of that nature, I need to not have anything going on because I want to hear clearly. And I want to know whose voice I'm hearing. Okay? And what it is saying. I want to hear the rises, the falls, the tones, the detriments. And please know the universe will speak to you in all kinds of ways. So I'm saying all of that to say this is all part of the journey, getting to know yourself, healing inner child, and doing inner child work, or just doing inner soul work, period. Don't think you're healing your inner child means, oh, well, I've talked to my 5-year-old self. Okay, well, have you talked to 9-year-old you? Have you talked to 12 and 13? Have you talked to the 12 and 13-year-old you that was going through mental shifts through your puberty while your body was changing and your thought process was changing about how you're attracted to either the opposite sex, the same sex, or any sex? Have you talked to that phase of you in whatever year it was in, and help it understand, one, you will be okay, right? because you're still here, you're still standing, you're still moving through things. Whether you feel like you're doing it wrong, rising, falling, whatever. The fact that you arise every day, one, shows your strength and power, because you can continue on. You are pressing on. Two, it also shows your determination into not just making this human journey work, but making it work in a more smoothing way. I couldn't think of another word right now. Right? But in a more, basically being patient with yourself, right? Not being patient with yourself and understanding that you can overcome things. You have the power, you have the understanding to do it. Or you're gathering the understanding to do it. Especially if you're on my channel, you're gathering the understanding to do it. If you're on any of my platforms, you're gathering the understanding to do it. Right? Because if I haven't ever said it before on my channel, please know. But I am all about understanding and the balance. I'm big at whether I agree with a thing or not. I want to at least be able to say, okay, I get it. I understand why you think or why you feel or why you want that way, whether I want it for myself or not. I like to be understanding and understand a thing. Overstand it, understand it, overstand it. Okay. I like to be able to acknowledge not just the feelings, but the operations of something. You know, racism, hate it, hate it. I get it though. You know, I get why people would want servants. I get why people don't want to do things themselves. I get why they would look down on a certain type of people to get them to do that, and then create a structure that will keep them hindered, whether I survive this era or not. Because that's like the simplest way to explain racism. Is that, and I'm not laughing at the racism, I'm just laughing at the simplistic structure I just gave it, because it really is a complex thing, but it isn't. You know, people saw an opportunity and they took it, and then they created a whole world around it. Is it the best thing to do? Was it a good thing to do? It depends on who you ask. The families that benefit from that structure will tell you no. And then they will get on shows like Oprah and just apologize and everything is to be okay. And apologies are a great way to mend healing, right? We do it with our inner child. You write the letter, you talk to your inner child and apologize to it. I'm sorry I didn't advocate for us. I'm sorry that I didn't even know that I could advocate for us. I'm sorry I didn't try harder at this age. I'm sorry that I left an opportunity that would have been great for us. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever the healing is. But that's part of healing, is being apologetic, is being and seeing where things went wrong and where you could have corrected it, and in the hopes that the other party, right, meaning the child of you, understands and says, okay, because I have went back and talked to a teenage version of myself that was just like, bitch, fuck you. You know, you left me stranded here, and then you just went on and lived life. You never really got the proper healing when you had the opportunity to get the proper healing. Like straight up told me, fuck you. And what did you come back here for? Because, and see, nobody talks about that either. When your younger self actually rejects the apology, rejects actually talking to you, rejects and is resentful to you. Now, I've had to go back and do that a few times before it was like, you know what, okay, I'm gonna forgive you, but like, let's just know that it just is what it is. It got to a point where I've accepted it, that my younger self accepted it, even though my younger self did not want to accept it because I left her hanging. And then she's like, well, now here you come in your 40s talking about you sorry, like you done lived your life now. There's no there that, and that's how she felt. You've lived your life now. You've made your choices. There was no reason for you to come back here. That's real spill, and that was real for me. When it came up, I was just like, wow, you know. We talk about going back and apologizing to people about things in life, but nobody talks about what happens when the apology is rejected. What happens when you have to continuously work to get some type of acceptance, even if the apology is not accepted. Because 18-year-old me is still like, whatever. However, because you are actively working on trying to heal this, I'm just going to tell you, it's okay. But it was never okay for you to leave me stranded the way you left me stranded. And now, you know, I don't have the same issues as a lot of black, it's just women, period, in general. Young girls have had, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've never been molested or touched drunk or had sexual advances from an older man. First of all, I honestly have been blaming that on like underdevelopment. Like, my boobs are still small as an adult. I don't have a really huge booty. You understand what I'm saying? And I came into my sexual being later in life. You know, a lot of the things I apologized to myself for was being, you know, and I had to explain to my younger self that you didn't explore a lot of the things you thought you should have been exploring at that age because your parents kept you in a protective bubble that you very much so needed. Because once you hit your 20s and could move on your own, I'm like a bird, I only fly away. That's the best way for me to describe that, okay? Though I'm grateful for all my experiences, I just arose to say, because this is not about me, and I feel myself getting into a thing about me, and this is not that type of video, Natasha. This is for your YouTube channel, okay? I do self diaries a lot. To me, it is, and I write also in journals, but self video diaries are a great tool for me because I can go back and actually see and truly see how I was feeling when I said a thing. Anyways, that could be for someone too. For the person who doesn't like to journal, you know, you must start somewhere so that you can track progress, so that you can reflect, and so that you can repel things that are not to be for you, with you, to you, okay? I am saying, I was starting off talking about healing and the healing of the inner child. And knowing that there is levels. There is levels to the journey of not correctness, but to moving forward, to having better in your life, better understanding, a better thought process, a better reaction to situations and circumstances around you. And going back and talking to your younger self, it's very necessary. Very necessary. And there's levels to do that. And I'm just saying, you cannot get all the information that is needed in 5-minute, 3-minute clips off of social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever. You cannot do it in that manner. Those are great sound bites to maybe lead you to a path. But, and yes, read the books, Healing Your Inner Child books, Healing Your Inner Self, Healing Journey books, all the self-help tools that it is. Just know that you're the one that's going to have to do the work. Blessings.